passionate about contributing your own quota to nation development, you'll be held back by those myths that truly do not exist. It's like politics, when you get into politics, you have to fight dirty, there's a lot of violence and the rest of it. But I have not experienced such. And several other women who have gone into politics and risen through the ranks would tell you very clearly that it's just a thing of the mind, or myths which they have put forward to really abuse the minds of women and push us backwards. But I think more and more women are beginning to recognize the fact that we need to contribute our quota. And we need to be heard. Our voices need to be heard. We need to be represented. You can imagine a bill going to the House and not going through. If we had more women at the National Assembly, they would be able to lobby for this bill to go through because it's a gender-sensitive bill. So we need those numbers. And I'm glad that women are coming to that realization that they need to support each other. For too long, the men have fed that rhetoric through us, that, look, leadership should be a man's thing, women should not be seen. If you're a woman and you're involved in politics, then you're wayward, you do not have a vision, you're not a professional, you're probably a market woman. That's not true. Today, we're beginning to have women who are professionals in politics. I'm a medical doctor. I'm a fellow of the African Public Health Institute. I'm a fellow of the Royal UK Institute for Public Health. And I can go on and on and on. I have a PhD. I have a master's. Name it. And so all of that does not prevent you from being involved in politics. Instead, it gives you the leverage to more and strongly positively affect lives of other women and, of course, lives of young people across board.
All right. Now, talking about your party and how much representation women have, is your party really the best for women?
So, basically, I could confidently tell you that our party, the APC, has been one of the best for women in Nigeria. It's been one of the best for Nigerian women across board. Like you know very well, this is one party that has given women the opportunity to participate in politics across board. You can very well tell from our constitutional review that was done recently, where we had more and more women being brought into the NWC and into the entire NEC. More women for the first time were brought into the entire NEC. Beyond that constitutional adjustment which favored women, we have situations where we have for women at the local level and at the state level to be delegates. So in every 5 delegates, 2 must be a woman. And then, of course, at the national level, in all the 3 delegates, 1 must be a woman. This is a deliberate step taken by our party to ensure that women are included in the political process from the grassroots all the way up. Beyond this, I'm sure you know very well that our party was one that gave forms free of charge to Nigerian women. We wanted to get more women to participate in the political process and get into elective offices across the country. And of course, it paid off. For the first time, before now, we used to have 23 women in the National Assembly and of course, running women participate, but today we have 95 women that are running for elective positions across the country, and we are positive that they will win the elections and emerge victorious, right? That way you have more women involved in political positions. Of course, they are elected, and they can be able to defend women. If our bills go to the House, whether it's at the state level or at the national level, you have more women to get involved in it. And this is a precedent we are setting ahead of the local government elections that would come immediately after the general elections. We want to see more women emerge at the grassroots as councillors. We want to see more women emerge as vice chairmen. And of course, more women emerge as chairmen, and they grow from there to whatever heights they want to achieve.
All right, so we'll definitely get back to that. But then the attempt by the wife of the president and other women to increase women participation in the legislative process through 5 gender bills failed in the National Assembly. Do you see these bills succeed in the nearest future?
Of course, if you followed very closely during the official launch of the Tinubu Shetima Women's Campaign Team, the president in his speech have said that he has not given up on ensuring that these gender-sensitive bills go through the National Assembly. So he has already instructed the Attorney General to those bills and send them back into the Assembly. They've still got some 6 months to get those bills through, and we are positive, even with the response from the Speaker of the House of Reps, that those bills might see the light of day during his tenure as a president. But that being said, APC as a party is re-strategizing. Our women's wing have re-strategized to see that we have more women at the National Assembly that will be able to push, lobby, and ensure that these bills actually get passed at the National Assembly.
You are perhaps the youngest national women leader Nigeria has seen in recent times. How has the political scene been for you?
Oh, well, somebody has to start something, isn't it? And somebody has to be like the one breaking the glass ceiling. Political scene. In most cases, you have to come up against people who just feel, oh, you're too young, or you're not supposed to really be there at this age, right? But I want to say majority of Nigerian women, majority of APC women, majority of professional women have embraced my emergence with open arms. Really, this has been like a breakthrough for the young women who ordinarily feel that politics is just for the older persons, and so they should be excluded from it. And it has led to them being disgruntled over the years. Young people want to get involved in politics. Young people want men in the right direction. The party has gone ahead to say that we are sensitive to the fact that young people want to get involved in governance. They want to get involved in decision making. They want to get involved in politics. And so we are ready to give them that chance to get involved in it. And of course, for the professional women who would stand aloof to say, look, politics is not for the professional woman. Look, I have my profession. I'm a doctor. I'm a lawyer. I want to be right there facing my profession and giving it my best. They have seen this as a good example to get involved. And indeed, I think I've had a wonderful experience working with women across Nigeria. I've been able to attract a lot of people into our party, both young and old. I've been that bridge builder between the politician, the typical politician, the young woman, the older one, and of course the middle-aged woman. So really, it's been a wonderful experience, and I'm really very grateful for the support I've received so far from the Nigerian women.
You defected to the APC with your principal, Governor Ben Ayade. Let me ask you, was it that you believed in the ideologies of the APC, or you defected to demonstrate your loyalty to the governor?
Okay, so I think it's a double-edged sword. Yes, so first of all, I defected because I believed that we need to put our hands together with the ruling president and give him all the support he needed to succeed. It's easy to sit on the fence and criticize, right? But it's better off when you give your own, bring all of your drive into seeing that the things that you want to get done are being done the right way and on time. And so these are part of the driving force that led both myself and my principal to come in to APC as a party. We saw that indeed the ideology was right. Indeed, the founding fathers had the right mindset of changing Nigeria, of taking Nigeria to the next level, of contributing better to nation development, of curing Nigeria of corruption, of curing Nigeria of insecurity, and several other issues that, of course, was top on the burner when it had to do with the Nigerian system. And so we thought the best way to influence and support this revolution that is taking place in the country, the best way to be part of the change we want to see was to get into the center and get involved with it. And that's why we moved. Of course, beyond this, I am loyal to my principal, right? He is part of those who I look up to, himself, his wife, as my mentors. Mentors in politics, mentors in governance, mentors in leadership. And so there is when they do. But more importantly is the ideologies of the party and the fact that we believe that contributing our own quota at the center would bring much more for our state and will increase the level of development, the speed of development of our country.
Away from you for a minute, let's talk about your party's presidential candidate, Bola Tinubu, who has promised to prioritize national security, economy, education, power, and agriculture if elected president. Why do you think he will be able to deliver on all of these promises?
I think it's simple. APC has the best candidate on the ballot for the presidential election come 2023. We are not asking for "I will do." We're asking for evidence. What have you done in the past? I'll take us through the various sectors, but I'll begin with women inclusion in politics. Nobody has been as bold as Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the political space. Number one, he fought for democracy when it was not in trend to fight and stand up for democracy. Number two, he fought very hard to see that women are included, not just in the back burner or somewhere in the middle, but right at the forefront. When it was not trendy for any governor to run with a deputy who is a female, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu took the bull by the horn and brought in a woman to run as his deputy, and he won that election. And after then, if you check throughout the West, it's been a trend, whether in Lagos or Ogun State, which has, of course, Ogun has a female deputy governor right now, or you go to other states in the West, even up to Ekiti, we just swore in a female as a deputy governor. This is showing, leading by example, right? Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu have always prioritized women in leadership positions. I'll go ahead to state that he was the first that started the trend of appointing a woman as head of service in Lagos. You can go and check the records. Beyond appointing a woman as head of service in Lagos, he actually gave employment opportunities to several women to come into the Lagos civil service. When you look at the permanent secretaries in Lagos today, which is 100% evident, you'll see that most of them are women, more than 50%. Going beyond that, he was able to appoint the head of the judiciary in Lagos as a woman. This was the first of its kind in a society where it was purely patriarchal. You see just men everywhere across board, right? Moving away from women, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu came to Lagos at a point where Lagos had a lot of challenges. Security challenges, like you very well know. The economy was down. The IGR of Lagos was about 50 million naira in every month, of course. But today, as we speak, Lagos State is about the third economy in Africa. And it's in the next few years will become the #1 economy in Africa. So you're driving from 50 million naira to over 50 billion naira every single month. That's a huge departure from what the typical economist would tell you that it should be. I would leave the economic sector and step into the educational sector. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, of course, like you know, he started the free education for basics. He went ahead to ensure that people write WAEC and NECO in Lagos State free of charge. And today is the trend. This is to provide at least the basic education for every child that is living, resident in Lagos State who is using the public schools. Of course, you know that the king of religious tolerance. He is married to a wife who is a Christian, supported her even after he stepped out of public office to go to run for the Senate, and she's been a 3 times senator. He didn't say, you look, you're my wife, sit in the house, you have no place being out there contributing your own quota to nation development. No, that's not who Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is.
This you have ruled out. Many citizens are disenchanted with this current administration, especially over insecurity and economy. Do you really think you will be able to convince them to vote for the APC again?
I think we need to be very critical when we are looking at the scorecard of the present administration. The present administration have done a lot of things to improve our whole situation as a country, vis-a-vis the fact that this present administration has gone through a global pandemic that has affected every economy. I'm sure if you study even the UK and know how much it is for food items in the UK right now, what is the inflation rate, how much have things gone up by, and what is the economic situation in those countries, you understand that it's not a situation that is only for Nigeria. It's a global phenomenon that has affected even the best of economies around the entire world. And so you cannot entirely blame it on the country to say they have not fulfilled what they promised. This government has built on infrastructure. They have done a lot to contribute their quota to building the capital things which will improve the economy over time. So this is kind of like the foundation that have been laid by the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. But now the point is for Nigeria, before this time, we had places in our country where we had flags of different sects saying that they are in charge of those places. We had incidents every order before President Muhammadu Buhari took over as the president of Nigeria. Today, we've had less of that, taken over by whether it's Boko Haram or any other sector at all that have their flags flying anywhere. These are steps forward, and we believe strongly that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu that has been able to work in the economic sector, has been able to work in the security sector of Lagos State, which is bigger than several African countries. Lagos State has a huge, over 20 million persons, right? If he has been able to do that, and so for us as Nigerians, we are saying hope is renewed. Hope is here, prosperity is here. A man who has worked and built teams that have grown up to become great and mighty in Nigeria can do even more. He's given the young people a chance, he has given women a chance, and he's ready to even do more for women and young people. So there's really no reason to vote any other person.
But would you agree with me that Atiku Abubakar of the PDP is a formidable force and experienced presidential candidate who has contested 5 times, while we also have Peter Obi of the Labour Party, who currently enjoys so much support from restive young.
So we're not worried for many reasons. First and foremost, if I want to start with our dear His Excellency Peter Obi, I would want to state very clearly, Anambra State today can in no way be compared to a Lagos State. He had an opportunity to show Nigerians the true stuff he's made up of. And he had an opportunity at governance to change an entire fortune of a people and make it better. But what did he do? He buried the talent and said, the talent you gave to me, I buried it, I saved. You saved while doctors are on strike for 9 months. You saved while teachers, workers cannot get paid their normal salaries and they go on strike for 11 months. You saved while the roads are still bad. You saved while small businesses are not working. You saved while you're selling the government properties and then keeping the money in the bank rather than investing it in human capital, investing it in businesses, investing it in the economy to build the economy. Remember, you're working with a section of Nigeria that are highly interested in business, highly interested in the economy, providing them that startup, providing the right environment, would have turned their fortunes completely around. So if you did not do it then, there's no magic you're coming to work in Nigeria right now. And so Nigerians must go for a man who has integrity and one who they can trust. Of course, referring to the former vice president of the country, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar. Yes, we agree that he has been in the political space for quite a long time. Yes, we do agree that he mileage, putting him Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you will know that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been a master of politics, one that rose from the point where he had just one state under his party to a point where he had several states across the country in his party. And today he has over 22 or over 21, I would say 22 states in the party APC as the leader in that party.
Let's talk about your tenure as the Commissioner of Health in Cross River State. Let's talk about your tenure as the Commissioner of Health in Cross River State. There were reports that the Nigerian Medical Association vowed to sanction you for unethical handling of COVID-19 related issues in the state. What really happened?
I think positions trying to use the cover of an association or a cover of a body to perpetrate what they believe would give them an opportunity at governance. Of course, all of those things went to the NMA and they were thrown right out of the window because they had no single value to them. I want to state very clearly, our own approach in Cross River State to the management of COVID-19 was very professional and indeed one that was emulated across the entire nation. We started the No Mask, No Movement even before Nigeria PTF said that people should use masks in public places. When we started it, of course, the NMA and other people came out to say, we should not use my mask is meant for surgery. That. But as one who did epidemiology and understands the transmission means of the virus, it was easy to tell, working under the leadership of my principal, Governor Ben Ayade, it was easy to tell that if we use a face mask, it will protect this virus from going from one person to the next person. And we brought that out. 6 weeks after we brought that out, and we were fought by both the NMA in the state and of course the PTF and other persons who thought they knew better. 6 weeks after, the WHO said that every single person should use face masks in public places to prevent the COVID-19. Of course, going ahead of that, they didn't feel okay with that. They felt, oh, they are, in quote and unquote, the old knowledge was brought to question. And so they continued with those. You found people who claimed to have things that were not. You found people who, where you sent samples and say, escort the samples to the lab, the samples came back negative, they still felt, oh, this was not it, we don't believe it, and the rest of it. We brought even the rapid test kits, which are now used every day in Nigeria. We started the introduction in Cross River State at our border lines just to ensure that people who are coming into our state are tested before they gain access to the state. We shut down our state and isolated it even before Nigeria and the PTF took that decision. This is a decision which, if the country had taken earlier, we probably would have not had cases come into our country. So a lot of steps were taken, which was not conventional. And of course, when you find something that's not conventional, you have people who resist change, people who resist superior knowledge, people who resist the understanding put before the NMA. Of course, I was definitely found on the right part of the entire picture, and they were told with a clear letter stating that they had no right to question my decisions as a Commissioner for Health when it had to do with COVID-19 management. And I want to put this out very, very clearly. Many years later, Cross River State still has one of the lowest cases of COVID-19. And the reasons were simple. We put our preventive measures top-notch. And really, that's what Nigerian health sector needs to move into. Let's not concentrate on treatment. Let's not concentrate on managing diseases, but more on preventing them. That's public health. That's protecting the people.
Thank you very much, Dr. Betta Edu, National Women Leader of the All Progressives Congress. Thank you very much for joining us on Politics Tonight. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Welcome back. You're still watching Politics Tonight, digging beyond the headlines. And now to our interview with the guest of the day. I am now joined by the governorship candidate of the Labour Party in Enugu State, Chijioke Edioga. He was a former commissioner in the state and former member of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Now let's start with Enugu Labour Party governorship tussle. Tell us, what is the status now?
Thank you. The state of the matter right now, that the Federal High Court in Abuja came to the determination that the primaries of the Labour Party that was held on 4th August should be done again on the basis of the fact that a candidate, Everest Naji, who bought the ticket of the party in the name of an airline, doing the airline services, was excluded. And then the primaries should be done again. So my team of lawyers came to the conclusion that the best thing to do was not to go for a repeat primary, but to appeal that decision. So the matter has been appealed, and it's coming up tomorrow at the Court of Appeal to test the basis of the decision of the Federal High Court. Thank you. So we have appealed the decision, and tomorrow the matter will come up at the Appeal Court in Abuja.
All right, we await that. Then, recently, a Federal High Court judgment sacked you as the candidate of the Labour Party in Enugu State, like you explained earlier, with a 14-day provision for INEC to conduct a fresh primary. Now, before you moved to appeal, the judgment at the appeal court, what was the state of the suit? What was happening at that time?
I don't understand, please.
The judgment says there was not...
Yes.
Before the court issued for a fresh primary, the judgment says there was nothing before it to show that you were an aspirant in the first place, no proof of purchase of expression of interest or nomination form. It also says there were no payment for waiver because you participated in the PDP governorship primaries where you scored 9 votes and you had no Labour Party membership card. How true is that situation?
The matters you mentioned now, the issue of waiver and the issue of cards, were not, the judge made reference to the fact that, in fact, I was not in a party. The interesting thing is that I was a party an earlier seated at Port Harcourt, where Odengene Airline Services was asking that INEC, Labour Party, should stop, it should not upload my name as the candidate of the party. And then the judge said that an ex-party will not do that, I should be served. Immediately that was said, Odengene Airline Services or Mr. Everest Naji, or both of them, or either of them, quickly withdrew the matter and went to the court, another court in Abuja, another federal high court in Abuja, and instituted another court action where my name was now omitted. He sued INEC and he sued Labour Party. The basis of his suit was that there was an agreement that Labour Party would make him the consensus candidate of the party. And he was on his bed somewhere where he heard on the radio that the primary had been held and somebody had emerged. And then he asked the court to determine, to insist, or to declare him the consensus candidate of the Labour Party based on the agreements that he had with the Labour Party chieftains. And my lawyers insisted that such agreement was not the basis on which a candidate will emerge, and that I should be made a party to that suit, because its outcome will affect me. And throughout that judgment, the name Chijioke Edoaga kept on. Of course, the judge refused that I should be joined for reasons which she adduced in her judgment. But throughout the judgment, from beginning to the end, my name kept on recurring, which meant, as far as I'm concerned, that the judge knew that was the and even in the environment, Odengere Airline Service, which is the name on which the nominations form were bought, I understand, stated that there was a candidate. But the problem is that he said that he was not informed. And we all know that information is not to individuals or companies that claim to have bought forms. Once you inform INEC on the fact that the primary will hold on certain dates, it's to the world at large. It's to everybody who is interested. But on the basis of the fact that he was not informed personally, and that there was an agreement he had with Labour Party chieftains that he should make a consensus candidate, the court agreed with him that he was excluded, and that the issue of my not joining me was immaterial. And my lawyers insist that my not joining me, who was somebody who was going to lose from the outcome of that decision, that judgment, was not right. So on that basis, on basis of other irregularities of my lawyer appealed.
How convinced are you that you will retain your candidacy of Labour Party, owing to the claims that your opponent, Everest Nanji, is more influential and has more funds to prosecute this election than you are?
Influence can be positive or negative. I don't know how he has come to, I don't know whether his influence is positive. I also don't know how we determine who has more money to prosecute a fight. I equally ran a good race in PDP, did all the things that we should do in PDP, and its outcome was also quite controversial. And I opted out and waited, and in fact, I even decided not to even continue with the political process, but just to give myself some time when there was a lot of pressures on me to consider the cries, the agonies of candidacy by person built over time.
You participated in the 25th of May primary that produced Peter Mbah as a candidate of your party, and you came second.
Yeah.
What informed your decision to dump the PDP for Labour Party?
Several things. One of the things that really made up my mind, one of the things that really made up my mind to leave PDP emotionally and intellectually and psychologically and physically was the outcome of the presidential primaries in Abuja. I'm a founding member of the PDP, and I know that rotational presidency is central to the heart of the PDP, central to the foundation of PDP. I know the basis of which PDP was founded. I knew it grew up out of the ashes of June 12. And one of the concessions that Nigeria made was to have 4 segments, and it was embodied in the PDP constitution. Going on from Basanjo to Yar'Adua, from Yar'Adua to from Jonathan to Buhari, even if it is outside the PDP system. From Buhari, all legitimate expectations, all reasonable expectations was that the presidential position should rotate to southern Nigeria, and specifically to the southeast. But even if it didn't come to southeast, one would understand. But to southern Nigeria, that is some sort of agreement that we have had in this country. When Atiku Abubakar, who moved out of PDP to APC to help bring about the Buhari presidency with Tamboa, with Saraki, with Kwankwaso, with virtually all the big shots in the north, now come back again to PDP to vie for the ticket. Something in me died. I think that was the last straw. But before then, there are a lot of pressures on me from all well-meaning persons that I should not give up the fight, which I waged over time for good governance, for transparency, for stability. Whatever happened in PDP should not be a terminus for me, but I should continue the fight on another platform. I refuse over time what happened in PDP, what happened in the PDP primary, what happened in PDP in Abuja, the clear pressure on me to present myself, so we'll continue to wage the battle for a new society, a better society. I think it prevailed, and I decided to accept to run as governor in the Labour Party. That's what happened back then.
All right, let's look into more of the Labour Party. Are you convinced that the party will upturn the PDP's 24-year reign in Enugu State?
Definitely, definitely. If everyone is not even, if every person, all the major stakeholders, all the key actors, all the background players, all the manipulators have not come to realize the fact that the days of PDP are numbered, they won't be involved in all the shenanigans, all the efforts to frustrate me using legal gymnastics. Initially, a court action was instituted against me in Port Harcourt. And then when the judge, in good sense, reasonably determined that an ex parte should not be obtained, that should be put on notice, the persons withdrew it and went to Abuja and filed another one. In fact, the facts of their action in Abuja was also equally brought to the notice of the judge in the Federal High Court in Abuja. And then she delivered what a lot of commentators, several documents, several papers have been written on that judgment, and people think that is even almost insidious for that kind of judgment to have been delivered, because the intendments of these actions are not really to deepen democracy, but to stop me from running. Several things have been happening. Even the decision, even the manner in which a ticket or some sort of permission was granted to Odengere, even inside Labour Party, at a point when the conclusions have been made that I should flag the Labour Party ticket. It's something that shows you that at the very high level, in several places, there's discomfort about my candidacy. But I'm firmly of the view that those discomforts will be neutralized by the forces of good and the forces of good conscience, which will prevail in the end, an act of God, which will prevail in the end. And I will decisively, clearly route PDP from top to bottom. The first elections we're happy to be on the ticket. There are 3 gubernatorial candidates, 7 House of Reps members. They'll all be gone by that day. Second one is the gubernatorial election. I can say without fear of being contradicted, without fear of being found wrong, that if by the grace of God, I'm on the ticket on election day next year, that I will see the end of PDP in Enugu State. Definitely. I want you to play this thing back again on me and for Nigerians about March next year.
Let's quickly go back to the reasons why you left the PDP. An NGO, Enugu Good Governance Group, faulted your claims to the reason why you defected to the Labour Party. They said you defected because of your inordinate ambition and desperation to be governor.
Anybody can fault anything. It's not. I'm the one who will tell you why I left. I'm the one who will tell you why I left. No other person can read my mind. Nobody can decide for me why I left. There's something they call the last straw. Not one thing determines most reasonable actions. There are several things that will happen, and there's a last straw. So I've said why I left. Anybody who has different things, that's the person's business. PDP.
In Enugu State.
PDP or Labour.
In Enugu State, yes.
Of which party?
Of PDP. Is it okay to assume that you had foreseen beforehand that may not be the favorable candidate for the Labour Party in Enugu State and that you left?
No, PDP had done its primary, and I told you that I left because for several other reasons. But I didn't actually leave because of the shoddiness of the primary. But I could have challenged. I didn't leave because of that. There are other factors that made me leave. I told you one of the things was the emergence of a northern presidential candidate for PDP. There are other extenuating factors, but adding all of them coming together, plus the pressure on me to continue my gubernatorial aspirations, which received statewide acceptance, statewide endorsement. So if the PDP primary was free at all, free from coercion, free from outright inducement, there is no single doubt that I would have won. And immediately that primary was announced, Enugu State became what you can liken to a graveyard of refusal, of rejection, of rejection of the outcome. And until I entered Labour Party, the state was as if there was code what had before everybody. And immediately I entered Labour Party, I energized Labour Party, and has made it the winning party. So within the party, you can manipulate who becomes your candidate, but that's where it ends. It's a free and fair election, which by the grace of God, Buhari's approval of the Electoral Act, endorsement, and the determination of all Nigerians, that it should be a free and fair election at this point. So
all right.
a party can decide to do anything, but the election proper will determine the views of the majority of the people. And I have no doubt in my mind at all that the majority of Enugu State people across board are with me in this.
Now let's talk about your presidential candidate, Peter Obi. Let's talk about your presidential candidate, Peter Obi, who continues to enjoy rising popularity. How is this impacting on the fortunes on other Labour Party candidates in the election?
It's a blessing. The candidacy of Peter Obi is a blessing, not only in Enugu State, nationwide. It's a blessing that is something, and it is something that the time for it has come. The combination of the failures over time of PDP and APC, and the manifest failure, evident failures of these two parties are over the years, evidenced in the rising unemployment, the spiraling, the collapse of the dollar, the unemployment, underemployment, insecurity, whatever it is across boards, all indexes, underdevelopment, capital flight, relocation of companies, whatever it is that gives life meaning has deserted us or have over the 24 years that PDP and APC has been in charge. So across board, all over the country, tested persons have congregated in Labour Party. It's not unique. It was in 1999 when we all went to the House of Reps on our own terms. The same thing happened. The cast of the most brilliant people here, young men, congregated in the House of Representatives, indeed was evident and undeniable. Kalina, Chijoke Doga, Chidi Duru, across board, many of them, north, south, east, west, the best Nigerians, Muka Chikelo, you know. So the same thing has happened now, and there's a sense that it will be free and fair election, and Nigerians will decide who they will work with. And that's so. Peter Obi's emergence is charmed, and it's clearly God-driven and driven by our circumstances.
How do you think this popularity will help other candidates win their elections?
How do I do what?
How do you think this popularity, Peter Obi's popularity, will help other candidates win their elections?
With them, I'm campaign stands. I've done several local governments now. When I go there, I go with the candidates for House of Assembly, the candidates for House of Reps, the candidates for Senate, and they are men of impeccable integrity, pristine intellect.
Many analysts have argued that Obi's popularity is confined to the southeast and some parts of the south-south. How well do you think he can make a headway in other regions?
You know, I told you that Obi's emergence is a product of our frustrations, national frustrations with PDP, national frustrations with APC, national frustrations with the order of things, even with gerontocracy, manifest in several places. So Lagos is a substantially like Nigeria writ large. Obi is substantially strong in Lagos. Obi is strong in most of Western Nigeria. Afenifere is a force. Is a cultural force, is a political force. Afenifere has endorsed him. So you will not say that his influence is limited to the southeast and south. He is strong in the southwest. He is strong in the middle belt. The middle belt, leaders of middle belt, MBL Forum has endorsed him. Obi will definitely win in Plateau State. Obi will definitely win in most parts of Central. His vice president, the presidential candidate, is a scion of established political families across the Northwest. And there are several Nigerians, Southwest, Southeast, who live in the Northwest, the centers in the Northwest. So Obi is just a candidate whose time has come. You cannot move away from him unless you're not concerned about the challenges of our time, the frustrations of our time. And the youth are the most frustrated. That accounts for unemployment, for all these movements outside Nigeria, immigration, and all sorts of drug and all those things, and frustrations. So he's the candidate who embodies the frustrations. And the people are frustrated everywhere, even in South-South. Port Harcourt is predominantly an Igbo state. He's going to win Port Harcourt, no matter all these antics they are doing. He's going to win in most of South-South.
Do you think he has what it takes to beat the likes of Kwankwaso, Tinubu, and Atiku?
Definitely. If he doesn't have what it takes, he wouldn't have gone so fast in so short a time, notwithstanding all the roadblocks, all the frustration, all the roadblocks that have been put in his way. He has what it takes. He's brilliant. He's an accomplished businessman, accomplished entrepreneur, and a governor with non-apparel. There's no other governor like him in terms of recorded achievement, in terms of credibility and transparency. There's no other like him. So he's a unique Nigerian, a special Nigerian, a special vehicle for a time like this.
No doubt, a visit to Enugu State shows some progression of development. I said a visit to Enugu State shows some progression, but then what would you do differently to move the state to another level of development?
Did you say progression or the progression?
Progression.
I didn't hear what you said about Enugu State.
A visit to Enugu State shows some level of progression, but in your case, what will you do differently to move the state to another level of development?
Yes, I don't even know what I will not, in any area of our state life, that I will not do differently. I don't know. Even from the basics of communication, I'll communicate. I'll talk to people, Enugu State people, on a routine, regular basis. Communicate my vision. I will discuss with people. I will engage constantly. Because if you cannot communicate your vision, then you're not a leader. So I will communicate constantly to the people of Enugu State. I will do so many things differently. I will do something about the state of our primary schools. Our primary schools are in utter chaos.
What will you do? What will you do about them?
About them?
Yes.
I'll bring order.
Do?
If there's planlessness, I'll bring plan and order. For instance, the primary schools, teachers are not there. They're lackluster. There's no planning. The buildings, even from the arrangement of the buildings, you can see there's just no master brain at work regards to aesthetics. So the environment of the primary schools was made hospitable and interesting for kids to grow in such environments. The environments are lousy and dirty. Our healthcare situation, infrastructure, the healthcare centers which exist are not working. I'll make them work. Water situation in Enugu is absolutely zero. There's no water in Enugu now because Enugu has depended only one source of supply of water. Ajali, one pass into Enugu is not enough. Enugu has outgrown that. So I'm going to diversify the source of water. I'm going to harness or harvest water from different rivers that are done in Enugu. There's several underground sources of water so I'm going to diversify the sources of water supply. I'm going to work with the youth, work around the youth that are abundant in Enugu. There are several schools in Enugu State, but ICT hubs are virtually non-existent. So many of them they are certificate holders, certificated, but there are no skills. So I'm going to work immediately on skills acquisition and enhancement of skills. So several ICT hubs in partnership with international agencies are ready and willing, even national agencies that are willing and ready to help with skills acquisition. As a matter of urgency, come up. Power situation in Enugu is abysmal. It's abysmal. Several communities in Enugu State we don't have. I know it as a matter of fact that 5 years ago, under 4 years' time, I'm going to electrify the entire communities of Enugu State. Rimi did it under up to 30 or 40 years ago, thereabout. In Enugu State, several communities don't have light. If you do light, if you do rural roads, many of our roads can't even connect. Communities can't connect at this point in time. So we're doing rural roads at minimal cost. We're doing electricity.
All right. IPOB has continued to say there will be no election in the Southeast in 2023. I want to have your take on that and the security situation in that zone.
The security situation
in that zone
is nothing to write about. The security situation in the Enugu State and most of Southeast is nothing to write about. It can be improved upon. It's not as if efforts have not been made, though. Efforts have been made, but these efforts focused, properly followed through. We have in Enugu State vigilantes, we have forest guards. Even when the forest guards were being composed, the governor was insisting that the proper persons should become members of the forest guards, those who inhabit the forest, palm wine tappers, hunters, farmers. But in composing these forest guards, those things were jettisoned. And persons who live in Lagos, for instance, became members of the forest guards. There's vigilante, but the vigilante has not been properly fine-tuned to become efficient and effective. So we're going to work on the vigilante, make sure, professionalize them, give them incentive, give them proper training, and give them a central control. Now, these controls are diversified. So when the council chairman comes, for instance, he brings his own team and throws away those who have been there for. So we're going to ensure continuity. We're going to ensure training. We're going to ensure proper remuneration and proper promotion and professionalize them through training. So we're going to strengthen the vigilante system, and we are going to continue the push we're going to continue the push
All right.
for state police. Without state police, we're in trouble.
Thank you very much,
we're going to do all
Honorable
that.
Chijioke Edoga, governorship candidate of the Labour Party. Thank you very much for coming on Politics Tonight. Thank you for making some clarifications and letting us know what you will do if eventually you become the governor of Enugu State. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for the opportunity you gave me. I really appreciate TVC for this gesture, this kind of fellowship.
Never miss a moment. Instant breaking news from all over the globe. Live streaming of your favorite programs delivered directly to you. Watch anytime from anywhere on your mobile or smart devices. Download the TVC News app today. Available on Google Play and Apple Store.
A new quarter and your favorite TV program, CAC Weekly, is about to unveil new innovations fresh from the Nigerian Company Registry. Now, have you heard of the Extensible Business Reporting Language (XBRL) standard for filing of electronic financial statements? Do you also know that there's so much that you can do on your own on the company's registration portal, CRP, from the comfort of your home or your office? Because the CRP offers end-to-end electronic registration solution for accredited customers and the general public to initiate and complete pre-registration and post-registration applications electronically, online filing of annual returns, online registration of limited liability partnership and limited partnership. See you there.
Your favorite agricultural variety show, Farm and Fortune, is finally back. Season 3 of OCP Farm and Fortune is bigger, bolder, more enlightening, and funnier than ever before.
It's not one big happy family. The more we are together.
Knowledge that you've been missing.
Where you practice diversified agriculture from the beginning. Even if you lose one crop, you still have many other crops on the ground.
More experts and more kicks off on TVC News every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Stay tuned.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, where the black gold continues to flow and fuel Africa's largest economy, where the line between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Oil, gas, politics, development, and community issues all are highly valuable commodities in the Niger Delta. How do they combine and how can they work together to spawn a new era in the Niger Delta? As he probes deep to analyze issues in the region from angles never before explored. Inside the Niger Delta with Mamode Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
Every week, partnership with Wild Aid will bring you a documentary series on environmental issues affecting Nigeria's amazing biodiversity, from climate change, air pollution, and wildlife conservation. We will be traveling across Nigeria to give you on-the-ground report of the issues affecting our environment. It airs every Saturday at 4:30 p.m. only on TVC News.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
And certainly we owe God praise for the gift of a new year. It promises to be a great year. Welcome to the first edition of Sunshine Infrastructure Revolution for 2023. My name is Tinubu. On this New Year edition of the program, we will take you through highlights of the editions we had in 2022, memory, and to enable those who missed out on one edition or the other to grab part of the gist and compliments of the season. Now, let's take a message from our sponsor.
The challenges of infrastructural development are many, including the cost of executing the projects and the cost of maintaining them on a periodic basis. Yet there is a bigger challenge: vandalism.
Roads, power projects, water projects, government buildings, you just name it, are being destroyed carelessly. Government struggles to make our lives easy, but a few misguided elements destroy the infrastructure to make our lives difficult. We all have a duty to stop these elements. When you see any person or group of persons vandalizing government property, you have a duty to report to security agencies. Let us stop them from making us suffer. Message is powered by the Ondo State Ministry of Infrastructure, Lands and Housing.
Thank you for joining us on the first edition of Sunshine Infrastructure Revolution for 2023. We will now show you some of the messages we have received from you since the last edition and the responses to them. Please keep the messages coming through the number on your screen. Now, to this week's package on infrastructural development in Ondo State.
Sunshine Infrastructure Revolution opened last year with Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu telling us development of the state. It was codenamed JMPPR in his first term, but expanded and redeemed as soon as he was elected for a second term. He said the expansion was to strengthen the nation's capacity to impact.
Expanded to cover the Millennium Development Goals, the SDG. All those goals are now covered by the team. Some areas were left out in GMPPR. So when we had to do that, so